नमस्कार मित्रांनो, आपल्या सगळ्यांचं स्वागत आहे वामन मॅटर्स वरती. आज आपल्या बरोबर आहे पॉर्न चांगला आहे का नाही आणि बेसिकली पॉर्न का नाही चांगलं आणि का नाही पाहिलं पाहिजे याच्यावरती एक संस्था काम करते पॉर्न ॲडिक्शन वरती. त्या संस्थेतल्या आमच्याकडे मेन बोलणारे आहेत. त्यांचं नाव आहे लिनी बाबू आणि संस्थेचं नाव आहे रेस्क्यू 108 आणि ती आंतरराष्ट्रीय संस्था आहे. बरेच देशांमध्ये काम करते आणि भारताची त्यांचं काम चालू आहे प्रामुख्याने की पॉर्न नाही पाहिलं पाहिजे सगळ्या वयोगटातल्या लोकांनी. आणि लिनी बाबू, आय रिअली वेलकम यू ऑन वामन मॅटर्स and let's begin with the question that uh, why is porn considered a drug? It is like a drug from your research studies conducted by your organization. मतलब आपके संस्था से क्यों वो ड्रग माना जाता है?
Right. Okay, yeah, that's a great question to start with, Rohit. First of all, before answering that, I'd like to thank you for giving me this platform. More on that in the end. I'll maybe expand my thank yous to you in the end. So let me dive in to answer your question. Yes, so pornography is considered a drug today, not just by our research, but also by different organizations internationally. And that is simply because it is one of the most addictive things on the internet. And this particular habit, though it is, something digital, it's not like the normal substance abuse that we have, like alcohol and smoking and things like that. Though it's different, the way it engages the brain in terms of its addiction. It's actually very much similar to these other addictions, drugs and things like that. So we have conducted research extensively, mainly in South India, but also in Mumbai, across more than 6,000 students over a period of 4-5 years. And we have found out some very disturbing results from this particular addiction. Now, I understand that this is a taboo topic for Indians most of the time, but as whoever is watching this, I would request you to keep your hesitations aside for the sake of this interview, because the things that we're going to talk about are extremely important. Despite the fact that this is an addiction predominantly concerning men or males, it is prevalent amongst women also, among especially younger girls. But the research that we conduct, we've conducted research of boys and girls, but the most shocking results come up with the boys, because they struggle with this addiction more than girls. And we have found that today 70% boys, by the time they are in junior college, 11th and 12th, and 80% by the time they are in degree college, are addicted to watching pornographic content on the internet. And 84% boys say that this is a progressive addiction. Now, when you say progressive addiction, just like it's common sense, just like smoking or alcohol, the first time somebody exposes themselves to this kind of substances, they don't start by drinking, 5 glasses or the high-end alcoholic substances, or some 10 cigarettes or anything. It always starts with one, a little less dose, right? And then as the addiction develops, it progresses. So pornography addiction is also very similar, that 52% boys who are on softcore pornography end up watching hardcore pornography. And it's in hardcore pornography where we have content such as violent pornography, child pornography, rape videos, videos of abuse, and extremely terrifying content. So that is a cause of concern. And we also see, we've also surveyed other aspects as to how it is linked to rape, or does it give a desire to act out these things that they watch on the internet, on these videos and things like that. So yes, by all of these standards, and the way it, as I said earlier, the way it works on the brain, it is definitely become an addiction today, and it's a very concerning addiction for, especially for us Indians, I would say.
Why we must ban porn completely from public life, and if it is done, agar kar diya ban, so what is other alternative for that which is harmless? Any ideas or something you got?
Right. So first of all, the reason, I mean, there are many reasons why we need to ban pornography. But one simple reason that everybody can, I think, understand or relate to is, watching this kind of content was never accepted as a normal thing in the social sphere. If you can just think about, just 20 years ago, before the digital age actually came in, and let's say, or even today for that matter, today, if somebody gets married, or let's say, our sibling gets married, and they are just going into it's their first night, and they're going into the bedroom, and then we see that there's some man who's looking into the window of their bedroom or something. We immediately have a reaction, right? It's a very normal thing. We will try to confront that person, and take whatever action that is necessary. That is simply because everybody knows that it's not right to look at somebody who's not your wife or your husband in an inappropriate manner. And if you look at our public spaces like TV, yeah, or in the main road, in a public road, we never would allow explicit images or explicit images, or even people undressed walking around or anything like that. We don't have that kind of a culture in India. But what we need to understand is that the same standard that we have for our public places geographically, we need to have the same standard for the internet, because the internet is also a public place. There are more number of people accessing the internet at any given point in time than any geographical place actually, and it is accessed by all age groups: young children, old people, young adults, girls, boys, all age groups, proving that it is actually an internet a public place. And just because it's a habit that can be practiced under the blanket doesn't mean that there's nobody watching. And regarding your question whether there is an alternative to pornography, first of all, I would think about why do we need an alternative in the first place? You see, 20 years ago, when digital pornography was not present, okay, that's our parents' time. Back then, it was not a widespread habit. It was not even a normal desire to watch 80,000, let's say, on average, a person who starts watching pornography in high school, by the time that person gets married, would have watched 80,000 images of naked, people. So back then, how come there was no need for this kind of a thing, right? The thing is, pornography is a recent trend that has just come about, and just since the digital age has come, and it creates an unwanted curiosity. I mean, there is good curiosity, but then what pornography does is that it fuels that curiosity and makes it go beyond boundaries. So many people who start watching pornography are in the habit, they think that they watch it because they are bored. Okay, there could be some reasons, like they think that, okay, I have nothing to do, and I there's nothing else for me to watch, and therefore I want to watch some pornography. Or it could be for entertainment, or it could be because of lack of education, like as in education regarding these things. So we need to find out what is the root cause why somebody would ask for this kind of content, because it's just not normal to want to watch thousands of people whom you have absolutely no commitment with involving themselves in sexual activities. So I would say that rather than finding an alternative, I mean, there are solutions, but rather than finding an alternative to pornography, let's promote our Indian values, and our beautiful values and ethics that our parents and teachers teach us from a young age, regarding respect to the opposite gender and respect to another person's body and things like that. Because even in movies, especially in the older movies, or I've seen this kind of a scene in almost every language. If by chance a lady comes up undressed or something like that, it was always heroic to go and cover that lady, okay, not to keep watching that lady, right? But today that standard has slowly shifted, and people think it's okay. And that's something really sad and disturbing. I hope I'm audible. There was a slight interruption that came in. Yeah. So that's my answer to your question.
Apart from the addicts, especially addicts have a very huge impact on them of watching porn, a dangerous impact. लेकिन on the general people, like the normal population, what is the large scale impact of porn on them? उन पे क्या परिणाम होता है?
Okay, yeah, that's a very good question. The thing is, what people don't realize is that pornography has negative consequences, not just on the person who watches, but also, his loved ones in the future, and also the society as a whole. Okay, like you said, the normal effects that a person has on the addict, it could be the same the same effects that a normal drug addict or a smoker or somebody could have. How it affects their concentration and their efficacy and all of those things. And apart from that, it affects their loved ones. Okay, and as I said, the society as a whole. And people don't realize that today, human trafficking is a huge issue. I don't know if you are aware of this, massive kidnapping, racket, or human trafficking is basically the selling and buying of human beings, right? And in human trafficking, the major chunk of human trafficking happens for sex trafficking. Okay, so that is to use people for sexual purposes, to have sex with them, and it could be also forced prostitution and things like that. And people don't realize that pornography is actually part of the cycle of human trafficking. And in fact, it's a simple economic principle that goes like supply meets demand. Pornography creates the demand for the supply through human trafficking. When we watch pornography, okay, when anybody clicks on those videos, and has a desire to watch more and more content, especially as the addiction develops even further, they don't realize that they are contributing to some unknown person being kidnapped in some part of the world. When somebody watches pornography, there are two things that happens here. There is one on the watching side, and then one on the desire to do side. That's the experimentation. Okay, when a person watches pornography and they want more and more different kinds of content, okay, because it's an addiction and it's progressive. Let's say they want to watch some kind of violent rape video or something like that. Now this kind of pornography that's being shot, that involves a lot of violence, especially when it's a underage victim and things like that, that doesn't happen in the mainstream porn industry. That always happens to a trafficked victim. Okay, so the more people ask, more the demand increases for that kind of content, more children and women has to be kidnapped and raped, and that videos have to be shot in order to meet with this demand. And the same way, when somebody watches pornography, naturally, we all know the power of advertisements. When we watch something, we have a desire to actually do it. Okay, you say you're hungry and you watch a recipe, some really nice sambar, and even if it's a very simple dish, the minute you see that, you want to eat it, right? You feel more hungry. That's exactly what pornography also does to the human body. Okay, it increases your desire for sexual experiences, and eventually, when that person cannot find a girlfriend, or sometimes if they're watching child pornography, okay, and it's an underage victim, it's a 13-year-old or 11-year-old, you'll not get 11-year-old girlfriend. What they have to do is go into prostitution homes or brothels, or sometimes places where they have trafficked victims, and ask specifically for underage victims. And there are no child prostitutes. No child voluntarily becomes a prostitute. What happens is they kidnap them and they put them into this kind of an activity. So it creates the demand for human trafficking to increase. And then there are many other effects also. For example, it increases rapes in the society. It increases child abuse. Most of the time, there are so many instances where before children are coerced into doing some kind of a sexual activity, they are shown child pornography. They are made to think that this is okay. This is how it is. Okay, even happens within the trafficking industry also, because otherwise children don't have knowledge about sex and all these things, right? So they show that kind of content and groom them. It's called grooming. If a very famous incident that we all know is the Delhi gang rape that happened, right? And even in the Delhi gang rape, all of those men, they had violent pornography on their mobile phones. Now, doesn't mean to say that every person who watches pornography will become a rapist. No, but but we do know that watching something does give a desire to actually commit it, right? To actually do it. So in fact, even in our survey, 69% boys said that watching a rape gives you a desire to do a rape, and we can't blame them, because that's the effect of what we watch. Yeah. And then there's also other indirect consequences, on large scale consequences, like when the more a generation is consumed by pornography, the more the promiscuity or the desire to just have multiple girlfriends and boyfriends and just sleep around before marriage and things like that, thus exposing their risk to HIV/AIDS, and increasing the chances of pregnancy, because contraception is not 100% and successful, and that increases rates of abortion, which is killing of the innocent. And so all these multiple multifaceted effects pornography has. And even divorce, there are cases in the Western countries, and several individual cases in India, where the wife finds out that the husband, after 2-3 years, is a pornographic addict, and now he's bored with the wife. He has unrealistic expectations. He wants the wife to be like this or like this, or do this and do this, and the wife is not comfortable. So because all of these ideas come through pornography. So pornography has at least I can tell you at least 10 different consequences, or 10 different negative effects on yourself and your loved ones and the society as a whole. Yeah.
For male and female, does pornography demeans them or empowers them? What is exactly there?
Right. There is this idea, a lot of youngsters have bought into, that pornography is so good, it educates us, and it empowers us to come out and all of those things. But that's completely, even if it does that for, let's say, for a few minutes or something, on the long term, it does not do it. Okay. So if you take women, females, pornography is the ultimate objectification of women. I don't think if a woman in her right mind, in knowing the consequences and the effects of what pornography does, I don't think can stand for, at least an Indian woman couldn't support this kind of an activity, because what pornography presents is that women are just sexual objects, and all they want is nothing but sex. Okay. And it gives this picture, it gives these ideas of different kinds of, or exaggerated presentations of women's bodies and women's reactions and all of these things. And it shows that women enjoy pain, as long as it gives some kind of a sexual pleasure, they enjoy pain, and all these false ideas which are so not true. And nobody, for that matter, enjoys pain, in the way pornography presents. And the same with men also. Even for men, again, a lot of people think that, okay, it's harmless and it's just an activity that you can just indulge in when you're bored. But they don't realize that, again, what pornography is exploiting is male sexuality. Okay. It's a normal sexual desire is a very normal desire. But what pornography does is it adds fuel to the fire. Whenever fire is within a boundary, it's very beneficial. But when you remove that boundary off and you add a lot of oil or something, it just spreads, and a whole destruction breaks out. And that's exactly what pornography does, even to males. Okay. And I don't think that, there is this argument, a lot of people say that pornography helps to reduce rape, and therefore we need pornography. There's nothing more nonsensible than that. You see, first of all, rape is not a natural desire. It is not a natural desire. I don't know a single man who has told me that he would like to rape someday. Okay. But what pornography does, as I said earlier, when they watch this kind of content, they are fueled. They get excited when they watch this kind of content, and they think women want, or this is what women enjoy. In the there's a banned documentary that was released after the Delhi gang rape, where they had interviewed these men, and one of those men, the convicts, had actually said that why did you do, when he was asked why did you do it, he said, she should have enjoyed it. That's what he said. Okay, so there you can understand that, it's no man would say, no common man would actually say that pain is something that is enjoyable. No, definitely not. But then if he was led to say something like that, that obviously shows that he was led to think that way because of the content that he was watching. So be it for men or for women, in the long term process, it does not empower, it only degrades and destructs.
Regardless of age, why pornography movie becomes an addiction? Why it turns into an addiction regardless of the age? Your observations on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. These days, pornographic addiction is being prevalent right from below high school also, and that's very, very sad. And we have been called to some schools and schools where they the children, fifth standard, okay, just fifth standard boys, they have watched this content, and now during their break, lunch break, they're trying to act some of these things out in the bathroom. Okay, so it's just young boys. You can see the negative effects it has on their minds, right? Well, it's simply because always remember that our visual sense is the most powerful of all senses, right? Our vision, right? Whatever we perceive when you see, like even if you say you're driving from one place, a place that you don't know, to another place, nobody might tell you those directions, but then the reason why you remember it, because you have seen it, you have seen, whatever input that we get from the vision is considered very powerful. Yeah. So pornography, it feeds your vision sense the first thing. Only the audio comes only secondly. The first thing is it's very appealing to your eyes. I mean, advertisement industry works on this particular main factor, right? We have these huge billboards of huge advertisements, because the bigger and the more colorful, the more exciting it looks, the more attractive it is, the more that we want to see it. So that's the reason why pornography is something that is because it taps the visual sense. That is the reason why it is something that is prevalent regardless of age. And it's on the internet today. Everybody has access to the internet. Even little children have access to the internet. So just imagine innocent children, when they see these things, their innocence is stolen. It's equal to a child getting, not equal, but it's very comparable to a child getting abused or something like that. Their innocence is stolen from them, and that's exactly what pornography does.
This question is about delusion regarding porn, because when a person watches porn, the people get delusional more, and they are unable to look at the real world anymore. They are within the fiction frame only, and they
Very true.
out of reality, losing touch with reality. It happens. What is there in that? Please speak up.
Yeah, that's very true, and that's because you see, it's like we have experienced this kind of a thing when we watch movies. As a young, when we are really young. I don't know if you can relate. When I remember watching some advertisements or some movies when I'm a really young girl, and it's so nice, and it's so it looks so beautiful. So the next time, if nobody is watching, nobody's at watch, and we, for a split second at least, we do think that these things, this world of fantasy is actually real. And the thing is, with movies and with the cartoons and the things that we watch, as we grow up, we understand that that's not reality. Okay, and we have that sense of coming out. But pornography is something that is made for the adults. Okay, that's the craziest part. It's something that is made. It is a fantasy designed for indulge in this kind of a thing. Our expecting perceptions of reality will begin to even their relationships, just a normal interpersonal relationships, they will not be able to have good healthy relationships with people of the opposite sex because of the overwhelming content that they have on their minds. And pornography provides a picture like sex is something that can be enjoyed anytime, anywhere, anyhow. No rules, no boundaries, nothing. You can do anything, and it's just a world of freedom sort of a thing. But that's not true at all. I mean, it's a twisted. It provides a very twisted version of sex. And we Indians especially, we know that sex is something that is it's sacred. Indians usually consider sex as something sacred, and it's something that has to be within the context of marriage. But what pornography does is it takes it out from there and makes it look like it's just all about freedom and things like that. So that's a contributor to it being very delusional.
From sex, especially why uh, homosexuals are more open to get infected with HIV, AIDS compared to heterosexual. The reason is that, and I asked is that why was that aspect considered as a part of your research?
Mm-hmm.
Does it has any relation to porn? Because that was covered in the research of your organization.
Research.
So please say
That's
something
right.
on that. Very please.
Yes. Yeah. So, so one of the some of the ideas that pornography presents, okay, some of the activities and some of the ideas that it presents, some of them I already mentioned to you. And now, this to answer this question, you have to be, I mean, anybody who's listening have to be a little, to keep your shyness apart, because I'm going to be a little explicit here, but it's important. So pornography shows these sexual activities which are actually very harmful and actually deadly, okay? And some of them are, for example, oral sex and anal sex are very much prevalent in pornography. And people don't realize now, when you watch these things, initially you might feel a hesitation, but then the more you watch, it's called desensitization. The more you watch, the more you feel it's okay. And that's why so many youngsters today are very, very cool with this idea of oral sex and anal sex. But if you just use your common sense, just think about it critically for a second. Every part in your body has been designed for a particular purpose, okay? Like eyes are for seeing, nose is for breathing, okay? And if you misuse that body part, and try to, change its function or something like that, it's going to have some kind of a consequence. For example, why does smoking create lung cancer? One of the reasons is that when you smoke, the smoke comes through your nostrils, right? So the nose wasn't designed to take smoke in. It is designed to just breathe air. If it was the other way around, it would have been on the top of our head, okay? It would be like a chimney so that it can let out smoke. It's not like that. So and that's one of the reasons why smoking has a terrible effect on our lungs. So in the same way, when people indulge in some of these activities like oral and anal sex, they are using body parts that are not designed for this sexual activity, okay? And the sad thing is, this is more prevalent amongst homosexuals because they don't have another choice. Like if it's a male and a female, we have complementary body organs, but then same-sex partners don't have. So they have no other choice other than these methods, okay? And that's the reason why it is more prevalent amongst them. So you see, our oral now this is whether it is between a heterosexual or a homosexual, these activities are really deadly. For example, oral sex, our oral cavity is the primary pathway for food. You will never mix your bathroom and your kitchen. You will never use the water inside the toilet to cook rice in the kitchen, okay? Nobody will do that, because you know that it's number one, it's disgusting, but number two, most importantly, it's unhygienic. It will spread diseases. And the same way with the even anal sex. The rectum is a one-way sewage system, and it's designed to expel toxins from your body. So in using that for sexual purposes naturally will have its consequences, and that coupled with promiscuity, that's multiple sexual partners, poses a high risk for getting HIV and AIDS and other sexually transmitted diseases. So that is a huge area of concern for even within heterosexuals who engage in these kind of activities. It is really something that is really risky, and the problem is pornography promotes it like anything. It just shows like it's a very normal and and it's yet another sexual activities. Yeah. So we figured in our research, and even when we were in our engagements with the students, when we noticed these girls complaining to us saying that my boyfriend is forcing me to do this and I'm not comfortable doing that, and where are they getting this kind of things from? It's simply from pornography. So that's how we started including that as a part of our research. And yeah.
What are the traditional and practical ideas through which a person will not indulge in pornography any time in his life?
Very important question. I think this is the most important question of this whole interview. So yeah, and I like the way you asked traditional and practical. Okay, and I think both are really important. There is, we have to respect our traditions, especially us being Indians, and then there is the practical side also. So I mean, traditionally, we all know how we are told by our parents, don't spoil yourselves, keep yourselves until marriage and things like that. And today the youngsters think that our parents are just, they're just old generation, they don't understand anything. Now the culture has changed, and we can do whatever we want. But we need to realize that there is sex is a very powerful desire, and it's a powerful bonding mechanism between a male and a female. And it's not just about the pleasure that it brings, because pornography only shows that side. It's about procreation, and it's about bonding between the two people. So something that one of our trainers would say is, we maybe the reason why we hit puberty at, let's say, 12 years average, and then we get married at maybe 25. So there's at least a 10-year 15-year gap between our puberty and actually the time that we get married, and we can, we have the license to indulge in, sexual activities with our committed partner. Maybe the reason why we have those 10 years is to develop self-control. Okay, is to develop saying no to these habits, or saying no to random guys and random women who might come forward for us or for our bodies, and being able to say no to them, so that you can keep yourselves for your one lifetime sleeping partner, that's your husband or your wife. So self-control is something that is, I don't think it's an unattainable goal. These days, students behave like it is an unattainable goal, but I don't think so. Our parents did it very well. Okay, most Indian parents, the older generation, they were virgins when they got married. So it is possible. It is not impossible. It's probably more difficult now because of pornography and movies and all, but it is doable. And another thing is, I think it's Gandhiji's monkeys. That's, don't say no evil, hear no evil, and see no evil. And I think that is a policy that we need to take up as human beings in our lives. Not just not hearing or not speaking, but not seeing this kind of content. Ultimately, they all help us to inculcate some very important values that will stay with us, our entire, till, from the time we are born till we die. And practically, there are a couple of things that I would suggest. First of all, every person, I think, needs to have that resolve resolve that, you know, my eyes are for my future husband, to my future wife. You know, I am not going to give my eyes to somebody else who is not worthy. Okay. You know, so that resolve is extremely important. And you know, porn blocking softwares are available these days. Some of them are really helpful. Like this one called Spin Browser, Manage Spin and Spin Browser. I mean, this is not a paid promotion, but I'm just talking about something that actually works. And there is Google K9, but that's only for some users. And there are a number of porn blocking softwares a person could use. And as a protocol, you know, when we use Google and, you know, restrict the mode to strict, so that these kind of unwanted pop-ups and things do not come. That's one thing. And overall, you know, do things that are productive in life, like what you are doing. You know, you're not, it's a lockdown right now and people have nothing else to do, to be honest. A lot of, actually, we've seen that there's a 65% increase in pornographic addiction just because of the lockdown, because people have nothing to do and they're stuck with their screens. And you know, all this pop-up always comes and tempts them, and they indulge. So if we you know, use our time productively and we have these good habits, you know, writing, and every person is endowed with so many gifts, and you know, it's not to waste it all on pornography, right? So I think if we keep ourselves busy and engaged, we can stop ourselves from being affected by these things. And it's a principle that we have to carry for our children, because in their time, maybe even worse than the situation that we are facing, patience about this is very important. Now, putting everything aside and hiding and restricting our conversations on this will not help. That's what we do as conversations on these. Yeah.
To stop the influence of the porn, like to prevent it completely, your organization has also discovered this idea called as cyber ethics. So how can
Yeah.
it fight against the fictional ideas of pornography?
Yeah. So we started doing this about 9 years ago, and we go into colleges and we speak on cyber ethics and youth relationships. Okay, we've covered so many cities now, mainly in South India, and we have seen that, you know, rather than, you know, just giving up on our youngsters and saying, oh, they're on the wrong path, let them just go. When you educate them on these things, we have seen massive differences. And I'm not saying this to boast, but in our sessions, we find that, be it to males and females, when we take these sessions, when we educate them on cyber ethics and youth relationships, one of the most common comments that we get is, ma'am, we, or sir, we have not heard this before. And, you know, what you are talking makes a lot of sense. And we didn't know that these things, or pornography, or, you know, all these things has impacts on us. So through cyber ethics, what we try to do, I mean, as the name suggests, it's just ethics in the cyber world, in a world where you're not monitored. You know, we all have ethics when people are watching us. We can all be very good people when everybody is watching us, but it's very difficult to maintain those high integrity standards when you're in the cyber world, because that's one place where nobody seems to watch us. So from talking basic, you know, basic habits, cyber ethics is something that we are actually trying to bring it into the syllabus itself, so that every student in India will, before they, I mean, of course, we cannot fully stop it from happening, right? There will be people always, you know, who might continue to watch pornography and everything. But there is a huge difference when you talk about it, when you actually talk about the consequences and all of that. So that's what we try to do through these sessions.
So the format of the these two questions is simple. You can pick up any one question and can you can
Okay.
answer me, okay, like for people.
Okay.
Question number
Okay.
one is that, do you have any inspirational moment in your life, and you want to share it with people which can help people in their life, or you want to thank any people or want to say sorry to any people of your life for any reason, like the people you which have helped you to to grow till now in your life to you? Any one question you can answer.
Okay, nice, lovely questions. And I think I'll answer the second one. If I have to thank, okay, I have a whole list of people to thank, but I'm not going to take your entire time. I'd like to thank, maybe, let's say, I mean, this is, yeah, randomly three top people. The first person that I'd like to thank is God. I'm a strong believer, and that God exists. And now I'm talking about these things, right? I'm talking about pornography and all of that. Uh, People might think that, oh, this lady must be a saint. She's not done anything, and that's completely not true. I had my own struggles with addiction and all of that, and but I realized a lot of things, and I learned a lot of things, and I'm so thankful that change happened inside of me. If not, I don't know where I would have been today. So I thank God for orchestrating my life, in whatever way that it is, that today happened, or I'm here today, because I don't know, what I would have done if not for him. And secondly, I think I would like to thank my the inspiration or the founder of this organization. Is that you must have seen him. His name is Abby. He adopted an Indian name. He's actually a foreigner. He's a Britisher. Okay, so he's somebody who, his group enslaved India so many years ago, but now it's just amazing how the turn of events have happened. He has been tirelessly working for the past 24 years, and now he's left. But 24 years he's been involved in social work in India and doing good to India and the communities. And he's an absolutely a huge inspiration for me personally. When I saw that a person from another country is upholding Indian values and Indian, he changed his name to Abhishek, and worked for the welfare of our citizens. So, and that is something that really touched me. And also, I would also like to thank my sister. She is somebody who never gave up on me, and she saw the good inside of me when it was on the outside it was all bad. So she's somebody who's always supported me no matter what has happened, and I really love her for that. So yeah, so I really want to thank you, Rohit, for this platform and taking this initiative. You reached out to us, so I'm really, as I said earlier, I feel really happy when I see people like you, standing up for these causes in India. So yes.
Thanks a lot, people, for watching this interview, including Liny. You gave your time for speaking with Vaman Matters, and people, including you all, for watching this interview. Thanks again.
Pleasure. Thank you.